laws like circulation of blood. But in a moral universe, we are free either to obey the laws of God or to disobey them, just as we are perfectly free, for example, to obey the laws of health or to disobey them.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Hi, I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Jim.
And we invite you to join us every Friday at 4 p.m. for Friday Live.
2 hours of talk, music, interesting and informative interviews.
We'll also have a reflection on Sunday's Gospel, Jim Hoffman's weekend weather forecast, and you'll have a chance to call in and play one of our fun game shows like Saint of the Day or Name That Catholic Tune.
It all happens right here, Friday at 4 p.m.
That's Friday Live, proclaiming the joy of the gospel, communicating hope on these domestic church media stations.
From Falsington to Fort Monmouth,
Little Silver to Lower Makefield,
Rumson to Roebling,
Washington Crossing to West Long Branch,
Eatontown to Englishtown.
Domestic Church Catholic Radio, proclaiming Jesus Christ in the new springtime of the church. All righty, welcome back on this October 20th, 2020. 2 weeks from Election Day 2020. What will that bring? Well, I'm praying you are having a blessed day, my friends, and thank you for taking some time to be with me. And I see we're back up on video now, so if you want to watch the rest of the program, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/domesticchurchmedia. Also on our Facebook page, facebook.com/domesticchurchmedia. I don't know what happens sometimes, but, too much technology. But it's good. It's a good thing. All the technology available to us that we can use to bring the Word of God to as many people as possible. That's important. Let's see. What do we have here? Well, I was going to do one thing, but I'm looking at my charts here, and I'm thinking I had alluded to it, so maybe I will go to it if I can pull it up real quick. Let's see. There we go. And again, this is not being political. I'm not endorsing any particular candidate. I just want to give you information. And this is from a chart put together by the Family Research Council, the legislative affiliate of the Family Research Council. And what they did was do a party platform comparison this year between the Republican and Democrat parties, broken down into categories. And this is from the actual party platform. So I'm just stating fact, okay? I'm not endorsing any particular candidate, but I just want to let you know, if you don't already, which you should know if you have a well-formed Catholic conscience, what each party says about these various topics. As, for example, the sanctity of human life, redefining marriage, LGBTA agenda, transgender bathrooms and women's sports and schools, abortion and the LGBTQ agenda internationally, conscience rights in healthcare. We won't get to them all, but we'll start with the major issue because we know that the sanctity of human life and the dignity of every person is that's the foundation of it all, right? So this is from the Republican Party platform this year on the sanctity of human life. It states, proud to be the party that protects human life and offers real solutions for women, and strongly opposes infanticide, including specific support for the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, a human life constitutional amendment, a ban on abortion at 20 weeks, when unborn babies can feel pain, a ban on abortion based on sex or disability, a ban on dismemberment abortion, in which unborn babies are literally torn apart limb from limb, abortion clinic safety regulations, a ban on human cloning and creating and experimenting upon human embryos, including 3-parent embryos, a ban on any sale of body parts, and a ban on the use of public funds to perform or promote abortion or to fund organizations like Planned Parenthood. That's right from the Republican Party platform this year. The Democrat Party platform says this. They support repealing the Hyde Amendment to allow the government to fund abortions. They support codifying the right to abortion. Democrats believe every woman should be able to access reproductive health care services, including safe and legal abortions. Will oppose and fight to overturn federal and state laws that create barriers to reproductive health and rights. Opposes current FDA safety restrictions on chemical abortion pills. Supports repealing President Trump's changes to the Title X program that separate abortion from federal family planning grants. So this is right from the platforms between the Republican and Democrat parties on the sanctity of human life. Redefining marriage. The Republican Party platform says the American family is the foundation of civil society, and the cornerstone of the family is natural marriage, the union of one man and one woman. The Republican Party platform says we condemn the Supreme Court's ruling in Obergefell versus Hodges and urges its reversal. The Democrat Party platform is silent on marriage and family being the foundation of society. Nothing said on that platform. As it regards LGBT agenda, transgender bathrooms, and women's sports in schools, the Republican Party platform says, we embrace the principle that all Americans should be treated with dignity and respect. We support measures barring government discrimination because of one's views on marriage and family. Supports the right of parents to determine the proper medical treatment and therapy for their minor children. Opposes Title IX being used to impose a social and cultural revolution upon the American people by wrongly redefining sex discrimination to include sexual orientation or other categories. Opposes reshaping our schools and our entire society to fit the mold of an ideology alien to America's history and traditions. And also opposes President Obama's Title IX transgender bathroom edict, saying it is illegal, dangerous, and ignores privacy issues. So that's right from the Republican Party platform this year. On those same issues, here's the Democrat Party platform. It states, we will fight to enact the Equality Act, a bill that would alter our entire federal civil rights framework, gut religious liberty, advance abortion, and allow biological men to play in women's sports if they identify as transgender women. The Democrat platform supports insurance coverage of gender transition, including surgery and hormone therapy. The Democrat platform says we will ensure that all transgender and non-binary people can procure official government identification documents that accurately reflect their gender identity. The Democrat Party platform supports banning practices aimed at assisting patients with unwanted same-sex attraction or gender dysphoria. The Democrat Party platform says we will work to guarantee transgender students access to facilities based on their gender identity. And the Democrat Party platform also says we will protect the rights of transgender students. Now, there's a lot on here. I'm just going down the list. Again, this is put out by the Family Research Council. It's a chart that just compares the two party platforms this year. And this is just stating fact. You know, you can take away from it what you will. As I said earlier, and as we're required by virtue of our baptism, my brothers and sisters, we are called to vote with a well-formed Catholic conscience. What does the church teach on these issues that I'm mentioning, and which party is better aligned or more aligned with the heart and mind of the church? Because we're called to vote with the heart and mind of the church. How about religious liberty? The Republican Party platform says they strongly support the freedom of Americans to act in accordance with their religious beliefs, not only in their houses of worship, but also in their everyday lives. The Republican Party platform also states ongoing attempts to compel individuals, businesses, and institutions of faith to transgress their beliefs are part of a misguided effort to undermine religion and drive it from the public square. The platform also says we value the right of America's religious leaders to preach and Americans to speak freely according to their faith. The government is constitutionally prohibited from policing or censoring speech based on religious convictions or beliefs. The Democrat Party platform says religious freedom is a core American value and a core value of the Democratic Party. Democrats will protect the rights of each American for the free exercise of his or her own religion. They also celebrate the paramount importance of maintaining the separation between church and state. They say they reject broad religious exemptions for businesses, medical providers, social service agencies, and others. They also say, the Democrat Party platform says, we will fight to enact the Equality Act, a bill that would remove religious liberty protection and even force churches to violate the tenets of their faith. How about God in government? On the Republican Party platform, they say if God-given natural inalienable rights come in conflict with government, court, or human-granted rights, God-given natural inalienable rights always prevail. They also state in their platform, we support the public display of the Ten Commandments as a reflection of our history and our country's Judeo-Christian heritage. And the entire platform, the entire Republican platform, mentions God 15 times. The Democrat Party platform is silent on the role of God in government. Nothing is said on the source of human rights. And they say they celebrate the paramount importance of maintaining the separation between church and state. In the entire Democrat platform, they mention God once. Sex education. The Republican platform supports sexual risk avoidance education that sets abstinence until marriage as the responsible and respected standard of behavior. That's right in their platform. The Democrat platform supports LGBTQ plus whatever inclusive sex education with a full range of family planning services. Again, my friends, I'm just reading from the platforms. This is what we need to do. You know, I know what they say, some 22, 23, 24 million people have voted already. But we as Catholics have an obligation, again, by virtue of our baptism, in making these types of decisions, to base our decision with a well-formed Catholic conscience, taking on the heart and mind of the Church. Now, I don't even have to say, I shouldn't even have to say, in reading the two party platforms, which is more in line with the teaching of the Church. Not perfectly in line. Trust me. You can go through these both platforms and find on both platforms things that the Church would disagree with. But when it comes to the non-negotiable elements of these platforms, when it comes to especially the life issues, not that that's the only issue, but it is the main issue. Because if you don't have life, in our Declaration of Independence, it's stated very clearly that the primary right that we have is the right to life, and then liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And this unalienable right is given to us by our Creator, not by the government, but by our Creator himself, to exist with the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But life is the first one. If you don't have life, what else do you have? And I know this is not an easy subject because I don't like to seem like we're getting into becoming a political program. You know, my program is not a political program. But this program has a responsibility, as does this apostolate, to ensure that what we broadcast is in strict adherence and in line with the teaching authority that is the magisterium of the Church. Those truths that have been revealed to the Church by Christ himself and taught faithfully for 2,000 years. And when it comes to us making these types of decisions, that this year especially is going to have long-term effects on not just our lives. Look, I'll be 66 years old in December. I have more of my life behind me than I have in front of me. But I think about my children who are now getting married and raising their own children, my grandchildren. I think back to when I was growing up, and so many of you who, like me and maybe a little older, remember those days. Not perfect days by any means. We had many, many situations, in our life growing up that were not perfect by any means. I've shared with you the story. Think about 1960. I was thinking about this the other day. 1960, which we think to be the time of Camelot, the time of just a euphoric society. But it was a time when 3 or 4 little friends of mine and I, as 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, sitting outside of my front yard on a sunny morning up in North Jersey, were approached by a man who offered money to go into a vacant house with him. He was obviously a very sick individual, and one child did go with him. How close I came, or anybody else came, to being kidnapped in that sense, to being molested. I ran inside to my mom. My mom quickly called the police, and the police were there within minutes. And luckily, the young friend of mine was not harmed physically. And the man who was perpetrating that crime was taken away in handcuffs. So not perfect times. But we do remember those days fondly in many ways, that they were more innocent. And people were raising their families and living their lives based on basic Judeo-Christian principles upon which this country was founded. And how far we have drifted from that in so many areas of our life. And I think there are millions and millions of Americans who want to get back to that, who want to bring back those basic values once again, because we've been steered so far off course. And this election could be a do or die. Either we do the right thing and turn the course back to where we should be, or continue sailing the sea to perdition. And I don't have to tell you. All you have to do is read the platforms, form your conscience, and with a and don't fool yourself, and don't try to justify or rationalize. Well, I don't like that personality. I don't like the way he says that, or he says this, or base it on the what they're standing for, what their policies are, and which of the two candidates and their parties are more, not perfectly aligned, but more aligned with the teaching of the church. It just comes down to that. And ultimately, my friends, as you know, as we say, we're ultimately citizens of heaven. We're just passing through this world. But while we are here, we are called to build up, as Pope Francis said in his teaching on Sunday, and as so many of his predecessors have said, to build up a civilization of love, a culture of life. And this country is a beacon of light for so many people around the world, and has been for 240 plus years. Think about all that we have, all that we are able to do. I could sit behind this microphone and say what I'm saying without threats of stormtroopers coming through the door here in the studio and dragging me away in cuffs. Because this is a free land, and we do have freedom of speech right now. And I can say what I think, and I have the freedom to do that, and I can use even the media to do that. Media is very powerful. We're going to be hearing a lot more about media, I think, over the next, over the next couple of days and weeks and beyond. But media is very powerful. I know that. I work in it. I know the power of the media. But we have an obligation here as Catholic media to always bring to you the truth, and the truth that will set you free. The truth that you will need to get home to the Father's house, which is our ultimate destination and our ultimate citizenship. That's it. But as we go along, and we're not of the world, but in the world, we have a responsibility in how we live in this world and what our obligations are as followers of Jesus Christ in this world. What do we do? What do we say? How do we live our life? How do we preach the gospel? How do we give witness to the truths that we know will set us free and bring us home to the Father's house? How do I bring others into that fold? Truly living my Christian discipleship, my Catholicism. It's tough right now because we're so isolated in so many ways, isn't it? We have the ability here, and have had the ability here throughout this entire pandemic, to be here for you. We never shut down. We never quarantine. We don't socially distance here on the airwaves. We don't have to. You can't catch the virus through your radio or whoever you're listening or watching. We're always here. We never shut our doors. We never lock down. And this voice, God willing, for as long as the Lord allows, will continue to be open and proclaiming that truth, boldly proclaiming the gospel without compromise, without watering it down, so that your heart and mind can be educated in the truth that will make you free, that we can take the heart and mind of the church and live it. Okay, I got to go. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I'll be here. Okay, God willing. Until then, my friends, have a great rest of your day. My name is Jim Manfredonia. Thanks for listening. God bless you, and God love you.